Hello, I'm Adrian Peck, owner of Better Never Stops. We deliver business advice and coaching programs to entrepreneurs and business owners who want to run £1 million plus businesses. I am also the author of How to Fall Back in Love with Your Business, the entrepreneur's guide to rediscovering your mojo and enjoying every day by living your dream. What I'm going to share with you is a cash flow forecasting tool that I've built using Google Sheets. You can also download it as a Microsoft Excel file. Does your business turn over more than £250,000? If it does, I highly recommend you actually look at the advanced cash survival kit that I've put together. This cash flow survival kit has all the same features and benefits of the standard kit, but it has a lot more integrated sheets, a lot more powerful calculations to it, and it will allow you to plan well over 18 months in advance. It will save you a whole heap of time, reduce your stress and worry by helping you know what grants, deferral schemes and loans that you can get, and also will go on to protect your business for a lot further, for a lot longer. If you want to find out more, please go to success.co.uk/advanced cash survival kit. To download your free Google Sheet and Excel template, please go to success.co.uk/cashflow and you'll be able to download these templates completely free of charge. So let's dive into the cash flow forecast itself. This is on the Google Doc. The screen may look a bit strange to you because I've just taken a lot of the formula bars and things like that off, and I've zoomed or magnified it up a little bit as well, so you can see it a lot clearer. So it may look a little bit different to you when you see it normally inside your own browser, and that's probably why it looks a bit odd in here, but I've just done it so that we can see it a lot clearer in here. So the first thing you need to do is I do apologise because I need to show you this, the copy I've sent you is a link to the Google document. You won't be able to edit it. You first of all just need to go in and make a copy because it's a read-only copy. So for your own copy, you need to press make a copy, so it's file, make a copy, and then you can save it as your own version of it and save it where you would normally save it in terms of folders and things like that and such like. The second option you've got is to download an Excel version of it. So you go File, Download, and then download a Microsoft Excel version of it. That will then simply just go down onto your bar there, and you can open that up and use that in Excel and save it to your normal files. So the workbook has got 4 sheets in it. The first one is a financial survival checklist. The second sheet is a cost expense project, which I'll take you through. The third sheet is a sales forecast, and then finally the fourth is a cash flow forecast. So that's the 4 key sheets that have been set up, and you kind of pretty much do them in those order as well. So let's just start at the beginning with the financial checklist, the financial survival checklist. So what I've done is I've given you a very simple checklist to be able to go through and mark what it is that you need to do. So you've got options here when you've completed them and if you've updated the cash flow forecast. The activities are split into 2 sections. These ones here are activities that you can do by yourself on your business immediately. The second group of activities are the various grants and the financial supports that have been put in place either by government or the banks, etc., that are there to help your business. The first step to do as you go through here is literally to go through each one of these options and go, actually, is this an option that an activity I can do on my business? So is it simply a yes or a no? So can I go through and review all the costs in my business? Yes. Can I speak to any current lending that I have and get a payment holiday? Yes, that's an option for me. Can I talk to my suppliers about delaying payments? Yes. Can I speak to my customers about getting prepayment? Or can I speak to them, do I need to speak to them about making sure I am going to get paid or when I'm going to get paid? That's probably yes for pretty much every business. If you've got current financing products, current assets, can you refinance? So you get the idea of building up through a tick by tick here, whether you can or can't do these activities. When you've gone through and actually done them, you can then just mark in here, yes, it's now complete, and yes, I have updated the cash flow forecast. So I hope you get the idea from that. Fairly straightforward. So for the second part of the activities in the cash flow or the checklist is for all the financial help you can get from the various government agencies, the grants, banks, etc. One of the things I've sent you as a PDF or a link to a PDF is what's called the UK Financial Support for Businesses, and it's a PDF that's got this really great schematic on it. This was actually done by a guy called Hamish Hamilton, which is just a fabulous name. So thank you, Hamish. He sent this to me. And I think it's just quite a clever and a very simple schematic that you can see. These are your 8 options you've got going around here. So grant support, employee wage support, tax payments, alternative funding, mortgage, banks, hotel. You get the idea. And then on each page, as you go scroll for the document, there's more detail about what it is you can claim and how you can claim it and how it can be used. And there's all 8 of them on here. I wouldn't take this as gospel in so much as the fact that when this was written, things change. There's more detail that's been put out. So this was quite high level and immediate when a lot of this support came out. And I would urge you to go on obviously the various websites and government support lines and stuff to actually get the deep detail of each one. So we move on now to the second tab in the workbook, which is the cost and expense reduction project. And what I urge you to do is to literally go through each one of your overheads and costs in your business, literally line by line, and look to where we can take out cost out of your business. This is going to have a pretty immediate effect on your cash flow and your ongoing or profit situation as well. But this is going to make an immediate impact, and I urge you to do this pretty urgently. So the idea is that you will go and use your accounting program, whether it's QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, something like that. And what you need to do is you need to copy and paste a list of all of your expense categories that you have, whether they are in headline in terms of the categories or whether they are literally by supplier. Either or, happy it does, either works. And then what you want to do, so that's copying and pasting the list of the names or the categories. The second aspect then is to put in there what the actual amounts are on a monthly basis, and that's including VAT as well. So what are the amounts that you are spending out by category or by supplier, line by line. You want to look at what you've spent over the last quarter to get an accurate snapshot of what the up-to-date costs are on them, but also bear in mind that you may have some annual payments in there where you've paid something as a one hit, i.e. something like insurance for instance, where you may have paid that as a single payment. Because what we're trying to do here is build up a cash flow forecast for the whole year, not just a single month. So we want to project this forward as much as possible as well. So you can go through it literally line by line, and then once you've put all the categories in there, we then move on to the second step, which is then to go through and create a new budget. So let's just get rid of this so it's a little bit bigger. So for employment costs. So the employment costs on this scenario are £5,000 a month, and we now have the second step is to go through and can we pause it, can we reduce it, can we stop it, or is it going to be the same? And that's kind of pretty much your 4 options for each expense category. Pause it, reduce it, stop it, same. So let's say for the employment costs, we know we can dramatically reduce that. We can furlough our employees and we can take 80% of their costs out, but actually we've also negotiated with our employees and we've said that we're going to pay them 10% of their wages as well, so they're going to get 90% of their wages while they're furloughed. So we're going to drop that right down to actually to £500. You can see it auto calculates, so our new monthly budget now per month is 13,500, not 18,500. So again, you go through this line by line. Marketing and advertising, well, we think we can dramatically reduce that. There's some fixed costs in there, but we can half it down to £500. And in order to do that, we need to speak to X, need to speak to the company. Who's going to do that for us? Well, Sally, who's works in accounts, going to do it. And once we've completed it, we can mark it complete as well. So we've got a kind of a project format here where some of these items you're going to go through will need subsequent actions to actually make it happen, and we can divide and conquer that amongst our team. So we can go for it line by line literally. So actually utilities, that will reduce a bit actually because we might have the business shut, so we're going to take that down to £900 a month rather than that. Telephones, again, if the business is going to be closed, we can reduce that down. So even let's go move down to £800 a month, for instance, because there's some fixed costs in it. You get the idea of going through it literally line by line. Can I pause it? Can I reduce it? Can I stop it? So stop it is kind of long term, actually, because you've found some costs in your business that why is that in there? Are we still getting value from it? Well, no, let's actually completely stop it, and we're not even going to have it post this COVID-19 situation. So you get the idea of going through each one of these line by line. So that's going to be the same. So that's doing the cost and expense reduction. I urge you to do it pretty urgently. It's really, really important, and I think you'll be amazed at the cost you'll find in your business. The third tab now on your worksheet, your workbook, is the sales forecast. And again, very similar to your cost and expense project, we want to go through this pretty line by line with your customers, and you want to copy and paste a list of all your customers and then what the revenues are for them. One thing to point out on here is, first of all, is the sales forecast is there for when you get paid, not when you invoice a customer. So it might be that you work in retail and your customers pay you straight away as soon as you actually invoice them or you do the transaction, they pay you there and then. That's fine. So that actually the sales you do in March are paid for you in March. But if you work business to business and you provide credit terms to your customers, therefore you might do work for them in March but not get paid for that work until April, you need to put the revenue into April, not into March. And there's a reason for that, because it's a sales forecast in terms of money in and not necessarily the invoicing value. So if you put when you're going to receive the money into it, and I would always urge you to be prudent, bear in mind that your customers are going to be stretched financially. Are they going to pay you on time to what they normally have? And I urge you to go and talk to those customers and have open communication with them. So if you've got hundreds and hundreds of customers and this is not realistic to do it in this fine detail, then you can put it into blocks, whether they are blocks of by product line or by service line, something like that. But you want an idea of your typical revenues you get, and are you going to get paid for them, going forward. So for here, let's just go for a couple of scenarios. This is a kind of a typical monthly revenues. You know that you've done this work actually in February, and this is the work money that you're coming in or have received in already for March. Then you move on to April. So actually April's revenues can be based on what you've done in March. So yes, company X, you've still done you've done £10,000 for them. 2, you actually done 6,000, and 3, you've done £4,500 for them. And you've spoken to them, and you know you're going to get paid for those in April, not a problem. It comes to May, actually you've furloughed your employees and you've closed the business at the moment for April, so that's going to drop right down, and perhaps there's some underlying work in there that you will carry on getting paid for, but it's going to be dramatically reduced. So you get the idea. Then you're going to go through this line by line, month by month, and actually build all this pattern up all the way through it, and you'll see that it's auto calculating for you what your gross revenue is as well. So this needs to be also free of VAT, so it's before VAT if you are VAT registered, and you'll see why when we put that in the forecast. So again, you project that all the way through, right through to March next year. Be as prudent as you can. You're better to underestimate what you think your sales revenue are, or it's going to be, and then if it is better than that, then bear in mind that you can then get it'll be a nice surprise that you can have in your business. You're better being really prudent on it, and therefore when it comes back to getting any loans and stuff, you can always pay those loans back early if you have borrowed against them, because your cash flow is going to drop down dramatically. So that gives you an idea of how to build up your sales forecast. Our fourth tab in the workbook is now the very powerful cash flow forecast. And this is going to bring all of the work you've now done into a single sheet, and it's going to allow you to project your cash flows all the way through to next March. You can extend it further than that. All you've got to do is just drag all the boxes along, and that will carry on auto calculating. To start with, you need to put in what your opening balance was at the beginning of March. And for this instance, we've got it was £10,000. You can, if you want to start this from April, you can simply just change the top line. So let's put a capital in there. You can just change the top line, and then it should just then change all the months as you go through. So that gives you some idea just how to do that. So you can start it from April if you wish, or May, or wherever you want to do it. So for instance, we start here with a balance of £10,000. We need to put our sales forecast information into here now. So we go back to our sales forecast, and we're looking at £20,000 for March. The reason that I told you not to put the VAT on, because this will automatically put the VAT on it for you. So the money in for March was £24,000. You'll have a cost of sales. We haven't included that in the cost and expense project on the basis that your cost of sales are what your cost of sales are, but you should know roughly what the percentage of that is. So these are additional costs that you, when you sell something, perhaps you have to buy some goods against it, or you've got some carriage or something like that. So typically you know that you run at, let's say it is 80%, so 20% of your sales is a cost of sales, so we know from that it's going to be £4,000. And therefore the gross profit is 16,000. We've got our overhead, which would go back to our cost expense project. That for March was running at 18,000, so that's what it's going to be. the number's going to come out right. And let's just drop this down. This is going to come out wrong. Let's just, for argument's sake, let's put in there £500. And at the end of the month as well, you want to take some money out for your director's loan account, so we'll put another £1,500 in there, for instance. So at the end of the month, you started with £10,000. With all the monies in and monies out, you're going to end up with a balance of 14,000. So for April, our sales forecast is still 20,500, and no other money in. Our cost of sales went up to £650, for instance. Our overhead is going to then be at 12,700. And we're still going to need some money to live on if you're taking dividend type thing. So you can see how it now starts to build up, and you can build this all the way out for the rest of the year using your sales forecast and your cash expense thing as well. Once you've done all that, that will tell you where you've got a deficit in here. So let's just say we built this out and we know that in May, June, our revenues drop right down. So 5,000, and sorry, that was £3,000, and this will be £3,000 for July, and then it might come back up to 5,000. So we've got our so that was 1, 2, 3. We know we'll get some minimum money for that. And August, on the basis we might start coming back to life, we might get that up to £2,000. So you get the idea of just bringing this out. So our cash forecast for August is £6,000. Okay. Our cost of goods sold in here, let's say that was £250. Here it's actually 0. There it's 0. That is £300. And then your overhead is going to be 12,700 every month. And ideally you still want £1,000, so we'll put that in there. So you can start seeing now that you're starting to move into a deficit on here, and therefore that's where you need to think about how much you're going to borrow to make the business survive all that. And give you some idea of when you go back to your financial help, actually how much financial help you're going to need once you've done your forecast. So hopefully that kind of makes a lot of sense and gives you some idea of how you use this tool. It does auto calculate for you all the time, and you can put any other monies in. So if you get some loans in, you can put them into here, lease lines here. Any VAT, corporation tax that's been deferred or you're going to pay, then you can put into the lease lines as well and put them into the certain months. So it kind of builds all that up and gives you a good idea of where your cash is going to be, and you can start planning for that, and more importantly start making the necessary actions against making sure you don't run out of money. You run out of money and your business will dry up very, very quickly. So hopefully that's given you a really good understanding of the cash flow forecast and how it all works. Like I said at the start, if you are a bigger business, and by that I mean kind of more than a couple of employees, you're perhaps turning over more than £100,000 per year, I'd really urge you to have a look at the advanced cash survival kit that I've put together. There's got a lot more sheets to it, a lot more information that you can do, and it's also got a lot more automation in it that's going to help you save lots of times, plan a lot more in detail, and plan a lot further ahead as well. So again, remember, you can download this free template as a Google Sheet or an Microsoft Excel file. Please go to success.co.uk/cashflow.